When you set out to create something meaningful, like a piece of art or a compelling story, there is this universal expectation that you're going to spend your time, well, actually creating.
Right. You have the spark, the vision, all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you are listening to this and you've ever tried to execute a complex creative project, you know the exhausting reality. You hit this massive wall of incredibly mundane, tedious administrative tasks.
Oh, absolutely.
And you just have to slog through all of that before you can even begin the real work.
It is the great paradox of creative work, isn't it? I mean, the vast majority of the effort is often completely invisible. It's just unglamorous logistics.
Yeah, and that is exactly what we are exploring today for you, the learner. We are doing a deep dive into the official website for a new software tool called DocuFlow.
It's a fascinating one.
It really is. The mission of this deep dive is to see how this specific AI tool is attempting to completely flip the ratio of tedious admin work to actual creative work. And this is specifically in the world of documentary filmmaking. Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine wanting to cook a gourmet meal for your friends. You have the menu in your head. The flavors are balanced perfectly.
Sounds great so far.
Right. But before you can even turn on the stove, you are forced to spend like 4 hours just chopping onions, peeling garlic, and alphabetizing your spice rack.
Yeah.
By the time you actually get to cook, your creative energy is completely drained. And honestly, that is the exact state of documentary editing right now.
That's a highly accurate analogy, honestly.
Yeah.
To set the baseline here, the core problem DocuFlow is trying to solve is a staggering imbalance.
Okay.
In a standard documentary workflow, a full 80% of an editor's time is spent entirely on logistics.
Yeah, 80%?
80%. That is time spent sorting, tagging, and organizing before a single creative decision is actually made on the timeline.
That is just wild. Which means, to really understand why this tool claims to be a revolutionary paradigm shift, we first need to understand the specific agony of the traditional timeline it's trying to replace.
Oh, it's a profound grind.
Because it sounds like absolute torture. I mean, if you aren't a video editor, you might not realize just how much invisible labor goes into organizing footage.
Exactly. Let's look at the traditional 14-day pre-edit timeline that editors typically face.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Imagine you are an editor, and a director just handed you a hard drive with hundreds of raw video clips. Days 1 and 2 are dedicated solely to classifying and renaming that footage.
Because cameras don't name files anything useful, right? They just spit out names like C001.mp4.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You might have 200 clips with inconsistent names and absolutely no folder structure.
So you have no idea what anything is.
Right. You don't know if C001 is a beautiful sweeping landscape shot or an hour-long interview where someone just forgot to turn the camera off.
Oh, wow.
So manually logging that, watching a few seconds of each clip to figure out what it is, renaming it, sorting it, that takes 2 to 4 hours before you even open your editing software.
Okay, so you finally know what files you have. That's just the absolute baseline. What comes next?
Next is the spoken word. Days 2 through 5 are dedicated to logging transcripts.
3 whole days.
Yeah. In a documentary, you cannot identify your key narrative beats or begin developing a story until you know exactly what everyone said.
Right, that makes sense.
So every single interview has to be transcribed, and then an editor or an assistant has to read through all of it, highlighting potential sound bites. That is a solid 8 to 20 hours of intense reading and sorting.
Just reading and highlighting text. I mean, it's not even video editing at this point. It's basically data entry.
Exactly. Then we move into days 5 through 10, which is story development.
Okay, so we're finally getting to the story.
Sort of. You are scrubbing back and forth through hours of footage, building what editors call selects reels. You're trying to find an angle in a massive haystack of media.
Sounds exhausting.
It is. This is technically the start of the creative part, but it is completely buried under the sheer logistical weight of physically locating the clips. That takes another 1 to 3 days.
And then finally we get to the actual editing part.
Right. Days 10 through 14, you build the rough cut. You're placing the chosen clips on a timeline, organizing the structure.
Wow.
By this point, half of a project's budget might already be gone on pre-edit administration before those clips even begin to resemble a movie.
Wait, I have to push back on this on behalf of our listeners. You're telling me an editor spends up to 2 weeks just doing data entry and organization before they actually edit a movie.
That is the standard industry reality, yes.
But doesn't the creative process inherently require that marinating time? Like, Scrubbing through hours of raw footage, isn't that the exact mechanism by which an editor gets to know the material intimately and finds the story?
What's fascinating here is how DocuFlow's philosophy directly challenges that exact assumption.
How so?
Their core argument is that this isn't marinating time at all. It is simply wasted time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they argue that every hour you spend trying to find a file or typing out a transcript is an hour you are not spending on the pacing, the emotion, or the story itself.
I mean, I guess that's true.
They aim to take this massive 2 to 3 week pre-edit workflow and compress it down into a single day. They are boasting a 98% reduction in organization time.
Compressing weeks into a single day. That sounds incredible, but, as someone who understands how heavy and complex video files are, I immediately want to know how it actually does this.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's look under the hood. How does a software tool practically achieve a rough cut in under 24 hours? And crucially, this all happens entirely within the editing software DaVinci Resolve, right?
Correct. It's not a separate ecosystem you have to learn, which is a massive workflow advantage. The pipeline starts with a process called ingest and organize.
Okay.
You simply point the software at your raw footage folder. It automatically reads the files and classifies each clip, categorizing them into specific bins like interviews, B-roll, a location, or people.
Just automatically.
Yes. It renames them to a consistent convention and creates a structured JSON log.
A JSON log. Let's clarify that for the listener really quick.
Yeah, sure. It's essentially a lightweight text database format. It allows the editing software to instantly read all the metadata and instantly build the correct folder structures without human input.
Oh, that's clever.
To put numbers to it, it can classify and rename 200 clips in about 5 minutes. Manually, remember, that was taking an editor 2 to 4 hours.
5 minutes to sort the chaos. Okay, so the files have names and they are in the right folders. That's a great start.
It is.
But the real monster in a documentary is the interviews. You can't edit until you know what people actually said.
Yeah.
How does DocuFlow handle the transcription bottleneck? Are you still, sending files away to a third-party service?
No, and this is where the integration really shines. Once the clips land in their organized bins inside DaVinci Resolve, the tool automatically triggers Resolve's own built-in AI transcription.
Oh, so it stays in the program.
Exactly. It relies on local speech-to-text models like Whisper. Whisper, if you aren't familiar, is an open-source, highly accurate transcription model developed by OpenAI that can run entirely on your local machine.
Right, I've heard of Whisper.
It transcribes every single clip, making your entire media pool fully searchable instantly.
Okay, so the footage is sorted and transcribed locally. But here is where we shift from just being an organizational tool to something much more complex.
Yeah, the next step is huge.
Because reading transcripts is still a massive manual task.
Mm.
How does it tackle the story development phase?
It uses a feature called story intelligence. This is essentially the brain of the operation.
Okay.
It doesn't just look for keywords, it performs semantic analysis on the transcripts and the catalog.
Semantic analysis.
Yeah, it evaluates emotional inflection points, definitive statements, and thematic continuity to automatically identify the strongest sound bites.
Wow.
Then, without you even writing a brief, it generates multiple fully structured story proposals.
Wait, and what happens once you have a proposal? Does it just give you a text outline to follow?
It goes much further than that.
Yeah.
It takes one of those AI-generated proposals and physically assembles a rough cut on your editing timeline in about 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. And it formats it correctly for a professional editor. Interviews land on video track 1, supporting B-roll is placed on video track 2 to cover the jump cuts, and the audio is correctly routed.
That is insane. It's like having an invisible army of assistant editors who work at the speed of light.
That's exactly what it feels like.
They do all the heavy lifting and sorting, so you can just walk into a perfectly organized editing bay, sit down in the director's chair, and actually start directing.
That is a great way to visualize it. But I need to highlight a very crucial distinction in how this tool positions itself.
Okay, what is it?
DocuFlow doesn't claim to change how you edit. It claims to eliminate everything that was stopping you from starting. It is providing the starting point.
I see.
The rough cut it generates in 10 seconds isn't the final product. It's likely going to be clunky in places. But it is giving you back those 2 weeks of your life so you have the time and energy to actually refine it.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Gets you to the starting line fresh. But, looking at this critically, I see a massive technical hurdle here.
Which is?
We're talking about video files, which are notoriously enormous. A single documentary shoot can easily generate terabytes of high-resolution data.
Very true.
How on earth is an AI processing all of this footage without taking days just to upload it to the cloud? I mean, the internet bandwidth alone would completely bottleneck the whole one-day promise.
That is exactly the hurdle that most cloud-based AI video tools stumble on, and they often fail because of it.
Right.
DocuFlow utilizes a very clever technical workaround. The video footage itself never leaves your local machine. No video files are ever uploaded to any cloud server. It maintains full privacy and full local control.
Wait, then how does the AI actually see the movie to make editing decisions?
Through a metadata trick. The software takes your entire organized catalog, all the file names, the durations, the clip types, along with all those detailed transcripts it just made, and it compresses them into a tiny text summary.
Oh, wow.
We're talking roughly 100 to 200 kilobytes of metadata. It's just plain text. Only this tiny text file is sent out to Anthropic's Claude AI for the heavy analytical lifting.
Oh, that is such a clever workaround for the bandwidth bottleneck.
Isn't it?
It's essentially just sending the screenplay of the raw footage to the AI, not the actual heavy video files. The AI doesn't need to watch a 4K video file to know what the subject said at minute 42. It just reads the time-coded text representation.
Exactly. And because of that metadata trick, it enables some features that sound genuinely futuristic because the AI can parse text instantly.
Like what?
Let's look at the semantic search feature, for example. You can type in plain English, something abstract like golden hour, contemplative mood, or someone mentioning funding struggles.
Okay.
The software returns ranked video results with suggested in and out time codes in about 15 seconds.
Let's pause on that because that is a huge leap. It's not just looking for a file literally named golden hour. It actually understands the concept of the request based on the context of the transcript and the metadata.
Right. It bridges the gap between what you feel the story needs and the technical reality of finding that exact frame in a mountain of data.
That's incredible.
And it goes further with AI soundbite identification. As Claude reads the interview transcripts, it automatically categorizes quotes based on their narrative weight.
How did it do that?
It places colored markers right in your timeline before you even open it. Blue markers are for hero quotes, the core thesis statements.
Okay.
Purple markers are for emotional moments, and yellow markers indicate a supporting point or a topic shift.
Think about how much time that saves in a practical scenario. You don't have to watch a 3-hour interview to find the one time the subject got choked up or hesitated. There's just a purple marker waiting for you on the timeline.
Exactly.
And there's also this coverage brief feature, right? It scores your catalog from 0 to 100 for completeness before you even run the AI.
Yes, that's a big one.
It tells you exactly what topics or B-roll you are missing before you start trying to build a story that has massive visual holes in it.
It's essentially an automated pre-flight checklist for your narrative. It prevents you from getting halfway through an edit only to realize you forgot to shoot establishing shots of the primary location.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let's talk about control.
Sure.
If the AI is generating 3 to 8 different story proposals simultaneously, and assigning an editorial tone, a target audience, and confidence scores based on how well the footage supports the story, isn't the AI essentially acting as the director at that point?
That's a valid concern.
Are we just letting a machine decide what the movie is about?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of creative control, it's important to understand how the interface handles this dynamic. The human is unequivocally still in control.
Okay, how so?
Yes, the AI provides a highly structured proposal, but that proposal is loaded into a dedicated proposal editor. You can take what the AI suggests and tweak it, swap out clip time codes, drag rows to reorder the narrative flow.
So it's fully editable.
Completely. Or you can ignore the AI's proposal entirely and write a fresh one from scratch, using the AI's blue, purple, and yellow markers as your guide.
That's a relief.
The AI acts as a sounding board, offering distinct story angles to explore, not a replacement for your editorial judgment. Furthermore, if you've manually placed markers on moments you personally like, the AI gives those human markers extra weight in its automated decisions.
So it's a conversation. You're bouncing ideas off a remarkably fast assistant rather than taking orders from an algorithm.
That's exactly right.
So giving a solo creator the power of a studio logging department sounds incredible until you get the bill.
Yes. The cost.
Enterprise software usually comes with an enterprise price tag. What does this actually cost? And who is this realistically built for?
It targets a very specific pain point across several groups. It's built for professional documentary editors who regularly deal with shoots generating 100 to 500 clips. It's targeted at corporate and branded content creators who need to quickly pull sound bites from multiple platform versions. Directors who edit their own work are a prime audience, those who know the story they want but hate scrubbing footage.
That makes sense.
And finally, small production companies that produce high volumes of factual content but simply don't have the budget for dedicated logging teams. As for the price, it is $497 a month.
Hold on. Nearly $500 a month sounds incredibly steep for a software subscription.
It is a premium price point.
Independent filmmakers are notoriously underfunded. They're basically running on coffee and credit cards. $500 is a lens rental or a flight to a location. Why wouldn't an independent creator just put their head down, drink some more coffee, and edit the video themselves?
It's a completely valid reaction, and for a hobbyist, that price is a non-starter. But for professionals, we have to contextualize that number against the financial reality of the problem it's solving.
Okay, contextualize it for me.
Compare that $497 to the cost of hiring a human assistant editor for 3 weeks to do the exact same manual logging, renaming, and transcription. Suddenly, it's a fraction of the cost of human labor.
Oh, when you put it like that.
Furthermore, the business model is designed specifically around project-based work. It is month-to-month, cancel anytime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the explicit pitch is that you activate your subscription only when you land a funded editing gig, process your entire rough cut in a day, and then you can cancel it. You aren't locked into a massive annual contract.
Oh, I see the logic there. It's not a standard SaaS product you keep running in the background all year.
Yeah.
It's a heavy-duty tool you essentially rent for the duration of a specific job.
Exactly. Though it is worth noting, there is a tiny variable cost on top of the subscription. Because you are using the Anthropic API to run the Claude analysis, you pay for the exact amount of data you analyze.
Okay, how much are we talking?
That costs an additional $1 to $5 per full pipeline run, billed directly by Anthropic based on usage.
Okay, an extra $5 to conceptually organize an entire documentary is practically a rounding error.
Pretty much.
But money isn't the only barrier to entry here. We need to talk about the system limitations because they are significant.
Yes, the technical requirements are a strict bottleneck for a large portion of the creative industry. Currently, this tool only runs on Windows 10 or 11. There is absolutely no Mac or Linux support yet.
Wow. That Windows limitation alone cuts out a massive swath of the video editing world.
Yeah.
The industry is full of die-hard Mac users.
It does. Furthermore, you must have DaVinci Resolve 20 Studio, which is the paid professional version of the editing software, not the free version.
Right.
You have to set up your own Anthropic API key, and crucially, it highly recommends an NVIDIA GPU.
Let's explain why that GPU is necessary for the listener.
It ties right back to that local whisper transcription we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Transcribing hours of audio locally requires massive parallel processing power. A dedicated graphics card from NVIDIA is optimized to handle that specific type of compute efficiently. Without it, the one-day turnaround could stretch significantly.
So it demands a very specific high-end PC environment. For the people who do have that specific setup, how does this compare to what else is out there? Because AI video tools are popping up everywhere right now.
When you look at the landscape, specifically tools like Eddy AI, the key differentiator is the workflow integration.
So
Eddy AI and similar tools are web apps. That means they require you to upload your footage or proxies to the internet, and they function primarily as an export tool that sends a timeline file back to your computer.
which hits that bandwidth bottleneck we talked about.
Exactly. DocuFlow's claim to fame is being the only tool that covers the entire documentary pipeline, from ingest and classification to the rough cut assembly entirely inside your editing software, with your footage staying completely local on your machine the entire time.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? To synthesize everything we've unpacked today, we are looking at a massive structural paradigm shift in video production.
Absolutely.
We are talking about taking weeks of mind-numbing administrative setup, classifying, transcribing, organizing, and finding the story, and compressing it into a few hours of automated processing that runs safely on a local machine.
It's game-changing.
It essentially democratized the infrastructure of a large, expensive post-production house, giving a solo editor the organizational power of an entire logging department.
It is an undeniable leap forward in efficiency and capability. But as we wrap up, this raises an important philosophical question, one that we need to consider anytime we automate a creative process.
Ooh, okay. What is it?
If artificial intelligence completely removed the 80% of friction from the creative workflow, what happens to the nature of the stories we tell?
That's a really deep question. Are you saying the tedious part might actually be necessary?
Think about the mechanics of human discovery. Does the tedious, agonizing act of manually scrubbing through hours of seemingly boring footage actually force a human editor to notice subtle, serendipitous moments they weren't explicitly looking for?
Like accidents?
Right. A nervous glance, a slight hesitation, a specific breath between sentences that changes the context of a scene. If we only ever ask an AI to find the golden hour contemplative mood, do we lose the messy, accidental magic of human observation?
Wow. Are we at risk of sanitizing the art by removing the struggle? It brings us right back to our kitchen analogy at the beginning.
It really does.
If a machine chops all the onions for you perfectly in 5 seconds, the meal will absolutely get cooked faster and you'll be less exhausted. But you have to wonder, maybe the tears you shed while manually chopping those onions were somehow part of the flavor.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
Does friction just stand in the way of art? Or is friction actually the secret ingredient to a masterpiece? Something for you to chew on until next time.